today. Right. So this week we were starting, and we have started basically the DOM programming, document object model. And as I said, that I would be trying to give you a good review of yesterday's session. So DOM programming. And now please mute yourself when you join. There is someone unmuted. No, yes. Right. So DOM programming, document object model. So we have talked about this, that document object model, DOM, is an API. And here I have discussed what is an API. So I'll just go in a slight detail of that. An application programming interface, or an API, is basically a piece of software that gives us this facility to have two applications talk to each other. So when you say API, you are talking about a software, a piece of software that would enable someone, like some application, to talk to some other application. And I've given some examples yesterday. I'm just repeating them yet again, that I want you to bring all the tweets of a particular person or a particular channel or a particular news channel, for example. I say that I need all the tweets of CNN.com. So what you would do is that you would say that Twitter has provided an API that I would use to go into Twitter and try to extract all the tweets of CNN.com or extract all the tweets of Namantik, whatever. So an API would enable you to interact with the website. So two websites trying to talk to each other, you need an API. One application, your mobile application, trying to talk to a website, API needed. So some websites, they just publish their APIs, and those APIs are typically available. So here, this is a pre-made API which is called DOM, document object model, that provides us these two features, that gives us these two things. First of all, it will allow us to the interaction of HTML and JavaScript. So I said it yesterday as well, that we have learned JavaScript separately, we have learned HTML separately, we have not combined both of them as yet. So DOM will enable us, one way or other, that we want to combine this HTML and JavaScript. So DOM will enable us to do an effective interaction and effective, the communication of HTML and JavaScript. So it's a sort of API that will take our HTML and embed a JavaScript with that one, and vice versa. So what DOM does is basically DOM represents the HTML document as a tree, an upside down tree. And that's something that I have discussed over there, and I'll be just again, as I said, so this first half an hour might look boring for them who have looked at CLEP, so I'm sorry about that, because you have looked at that video, but I'll just repeat that. So DOM represents our HTML document as a tree, and an upside down tree. What do we mean by upside down tree? For that, I'll just take help from our notes page, because I have that over there. So I'll just discuss that one. So when we load a document in our web browser, and specifically if you talk about this document, for example, this is a document that you know about already. There is nothing new here. This is an HTML document which has a declaration over there, which has an HTML tag, then head tag. Of course, HTML has these two child tags, head and head, and then HTML has these two child's body, body, another child. So these are the two childs of HTML, and then head itself has two childs, and body has three childs itself. Those three childs contain, one of them is H1, the second one is P. Now, how browser looks this document and how browser loads this document specifically, if you talk about. So if you see here that HTML, which is very much the root of our HTML, of our document, because I told you remember that this is just the declaration. This is not directly the part of my HTML code, but everything starting from this HTML is part of my code. And by part of my code, I mean that this will be my HTML document. So you see that the main root document is being considered or has been mentioned as this HTML. So it says that, as I said, upside down tree. So it's basically the root of the document. Then this root contains two childs. Now, to show you, because this program, I have just modified this program a bit, but just bear with me. If what I want to show you is almost the same. So you see that this HTML is the main root element of our web page. So you see here. So this HTML, this is the root that comes over here, right? And then if you see that, if I just make it expanded, you'll find that it has two main children over here. Two main children. First children is head and the second children is body. So if you see here this hierarchical structure or this tree-like structure, it's upside down tree-like structure. This root has two branches. One branch is head and the second branch is body, right? So if I just expand this head also has two more childs. So if you see, head has two childs. One of them is title element, one of them is meta element, and both of these are the elements. You remember, meta is an empty element, but still it's an element. So it has two elements over there. Now, if I just collapse this one and expand this one, so you see body has 1, 2. I have just added over here, but if you remember this document, this is the document that we were looking for. And by the way, okay, just you can understand this from here. So if I just open this body tag, you'll find over here that H1P and UL. So body tag has these three childs, H1, P, and UL. So you see here H1, P, and UL, and that's all that I have just added later on. So it has only three childs by default. So now if it has three childs, if you see that these are the only three childs for the body has. So if I just collapse that, open that, so you'll find H1P, and again there are other P's, but this UL also. So these are the childs of this body, and here I have just increased the number of childs. So UL itself also has some childs. So if you see that UL has three childs, LI, LI, LI. Then if you see paragraph also has another child inside that one. And what is that child? That is called A, anchor tag. So anchor tag is the child of this paragraph tag. Make sense to everyone? I'm talking to those who were not able to see the video, the recording of the first part. So I am right now, maybe in one way or other, I'm inside my first part still. So you understand, everyone? Okay. When he says okay, I hope everyone rest everyone is also good with that one. So these represents all, but there's one point that I want you to note here. These all have been represented. Whatever has been represented is all elements. Do you recognize that? They are all elements. What do you mean? HTML is one element, head is one element, title is one element, meta is one element, body is one element, and this H1 is one element. So these are all elements. So this firm, sharp, square, shaded box, gray shaded box, this represents an element. So this is representing all the main elements together. But if you see inside this, for example, this paragraph, we are talking about this paragraph first of all. So if you see this paragraph over here, you'll find that this paragraph has another child inside that one. And not only that one, this paragraph has some text also before this one. Some text inside this A anchor. There is some text over there as well. Right? So typically speaking, what we are saying is that these what these are called. So you see the DOM tree is made up of DOM nodes, which represent all aspects of a document from elements to attributes and comments. We'll refer to nodes and elements interchangeably. We can use the word nodes or elements. It's typically the same. We can call it nodes as well. So, however, there are also other type of nodes. So this is not only the elements are the nodes, but there are some other types of nodes. So for example, text nodes, the text and block element, and attribute nodes, key value pairing. We don't always show that node in our diagrams. Every node in diagrams, consider P element for next example. So if you see here, P has some text before this A. So this textual element, we are representing that's over here in DOM. That P itself is an element, which was very much over here. So this P has been taken apart and it has been extracted node. So this P has some text before that. So a hollow with some square, like with some roundish radius, this represents a text node. So it has, first of all, some text over there with a, till with a. So this text is represented over here. Then we have an A anchor tag. Now, then there is some text between A tag as well. So you see that this link is the text between this A. So we'll say, okay, this anchor has this link text inside that one. So it's another text node that we have. And then when A is completed, you see that in it a dot, in it period. If you recognize this, in it period is basically another textual node which is coming after this A. Make sense, everyone? If you see here, the gray square boxes represent element nodes, this gray square boxes, while the white rounded boxes are text nodes. So white rounded boxes are basically called as the text nodes. So in summary, when you have an element, that element might have some textual content over there. That element might have some elements inside that as well. And if there is an element, that element would have some text inside it as well. And then after this all element, we can have some text afterwards as well, right? So this is all the representation of a DOM. The DOM represents the document in this way. Now, if I move forward, so they've just given some examples, and I'll show you that examples as well. So what I have done is that this document has been changed to some extent, but of course, as I said, I'll run this document and show you some interesting things. Okay, first of all, where this picture is coming from, I'll just, disconnect it from my script. I'll tell you, because I'll come to this one. Right now, this is a general document. And rather than that one, what I'll do is that I will just delete this line or cut this line. So there is no script attached to it. So you see here that this is a document. Now, I would like to show you this document a bit more detail. There are certain H1, there is something. So if you go to inspector, and by the way, remember this inspector will play a very, very important, amazing role in our web development career, because we'll have to every now and then interact with that. So if you come over here and if you go to your elements, you will find that all of these elements are represented over here. Just don't worry about this Grammarly desktop or something. Don't worry about the live code injected by the live server. Just don't worry about that one. Just look at over here. That this body, when I open this, there is an H1. And when I take my cursor over there, do you recognize, everyone, that this where I am taking my cursor, it is highlighted at the top. On the top means on my document area. If you see at the top of middle of my page. If I take my cursor on this P, only that P is selected. If I take my cursor on the other P, if that P is selected. When I take my cursor to UL, it just highlights that UL. You see that? It is highlighted. And I would like you to just remember this highlight of these things, because we will be using this highlight feature of these, what I call this DOM as a very, very important, aspect, because when we'll be doing CSS, we'll be using this for too much. So when you take your cursor, so this inspector or developer tools show you the complete document over here. This is the complete document that has been loaded, and all the elements are shown over here. Make sense to everyone? Now, this is the tree that is loaded in the browser. And these are all the components that are over here. So this is basically what? This is typically all the document that is coming over there. So when I say, when we see on our web page, when we see that this is the complete web page that is coming over there, so that page is loaded in the browser, and we can see that all the tags or elements in our elements area of our developer tools. So it is showing me all the tags and everything over here. Now, interestingly, we can just see the source of this document as well. If I close this one, and if I show you the source, view page source, we can see the page source as well. And as I said, please don't worry about this, all these fuss that it has created. Look at my document. You see that H1 is there, P is there, ULLI is there, H1 ID is nothing, something is there. So this is the code injected by that one. But you see the body is there and HTML is there. Don't worry about this browser, this code. So this is all the source code that has been embedded by that one. So you can just look at the different DOMs. Now this is very interesting, programming the DOM. Why we are doing? There's a class equal to demo inside first paragraph. Did you talk? No, Vinny, I'm not talked about that. So that's a good observation that you have. And why I have not talked about it, because I'm just going line by line from my that, and this is something that I added later on, Vinny. So I am just right now considering myself to the beginning of the first part, right? So again, I know that there will be people who will be getting bored with this one, but of course, for the people who will be looking for only part two, I'll tell them that just skip the video till this point, So because we are just having a recap of all those things, and I feel this important because this is something we need to worry about. And yeah, so that's a document that we have, and this document can be seen, as I said. If you see page source, you will find the document over here, or if you go to inspector, you'll find all the elements over there. So this is a very important area, inspector, as I told you that this inspector is a very important area. Okay, now let's move forward. So programming the DOM. When you want to program the DOM, and I'll show you in the notes rather than over here. So you'll so web pages are dynamic. They can change in response to user actions. So different data, JavaScript code, etc. While HTML defines the initial structure of the content of the page, the DOM is current or actual content of the page. So DOM represents what is currently being represented over here. So DOM will represent that one, right? And when you want to, oh, I by mistake did something. Yeah, so this is my document. Sorry. Okay, so when you are working in the DOM, what you'll say, consider a web page like Gmail or another web page client. When you visit your inbox, the messages you see are, so you need, when you go to your web page like gmail.com, you will see that your content of email are loaded on your web page. It never happens that you log in your Gmail and you find my contents over there, of course. And you know that you will always. So how does Gmail or how does a website, load those things from something? So right now I'm looking at a page, and dynamically when I visit, for example, gmail.com, I will only see my email address or my emails over there. I will only see over there. So that's something that page is automatically being loading something from there, and it is showing something for the user typically. So how does one modify a web page after it has been rendered in the browser? The answer is DOM programming. We have been using this DOM acronym. What is this DOM? A document object model is a programming interface, set of objects, functions, and properties, allowing scripts to interact with modify HTML or XML. So DOM programming will give us this facility of playing or interacting with your HTML code to access all the HTML in the scripting and work with that script. As I told you in the beginning, it provides us the interaction of the HTML and the DOM programming by both ways. So what we'll do is that we will use, so DOM programming is the answer. So DOM programming will facilitate us that I will access some particular element of my web page. For example, I will access this H1 and I can play with this one on the runtime. For example, if I access this paragraph and I want to play this with a runtime, something like that. So DOM is the answer. So DOM is a programming interface, set of objects, function, properties. This is very important. There will be objects, there will be functions, there will be properties in DOM. And what I'll do is that we will be just, we'll be using them, allowing scripts to interact with them and modify documents, HTML or XML. The DOM is an object-oriented representation of a web page. Client-side web programming is essentially using the DOM via JavaScript to make web pages do things and respond to actions to the user action. So now I'll summarize this online. DOM will give you the feature of applying functions to HTML pages. Makes sense to everyone? Because HTML by itself looks like a dumb thing. It just structures the document. It just gives you the structural representation of the document. But when you will combine it with DOM, you can implement the JavaScript on every part of it. You can modify the HTML document. You can add something to HTML document. You can delete something from HTML document, and so on and so forth. So you may have noticed that our work with JavaScript, there are nothing particularly webby about it. So, we till now what we have done is we have just, worked on this, a JavaScript programming part. We wrote functions with arrays, created object, lots of programming languages let you do this. JavaScript can't do anything with the web on its own. Instead, we need to access and use object function properties available by DOM. So now, here they are just representing that same point that I said. Interaction of HTML and JavaScript will be given by the DOM programming. Now, Just the main part starts. As web programmers, we use DOM via JavaScript to accomplish a number of important tasks. That's very important. And I just, I actually followed this same, and I discussed lots of things over there. So I'll be just following that. And I've just mentioned these 4 points over here. But right now, today, I'm following it from our page so that you can just refer to that particularly later on. So what happens is that web programmers, when we want to work with DOM, we first of all, we say finding and getting references to elements in the web page. That's a very important part. And this is the first part that we'll be discussing, right? Finding and getting responses. Now, I'll talk about this document. I would like all of you to just go to Inspector for a second again. Let me just make it a bit bigger so that I can show you a few things. Now see here. Now go to console. So here I have discussed already that there is a super global object which is called window. Window contains everything that our web page is showing. Window does also contain an object that a function or an object that we have used a number of times, console.log. So you use window.console.log, or you can use without window as well. So window is so super global, we can just skip out that window, console.log. So you remember we have worked this console.log a lot of time. And in the very beginning, when we started our classes, I told you that how to connect with JavaScript and HTML. So you remember we just took that. This is a REPL area where we can just implement some JavaScript. So window is set that super global. So I would like to show you a very important and very interesting function that you might have not noticed. Hello from web page. So I have a function which is called alert, window.alert. If I run this function, which is window.alert, but I can use it without window as well. If I do that, you see that it alerts something on the web page. Hello from web page. Do you see my message? Hello from web page is appearing over there on the top. You see that? And as I said, it's not only window.alert. As I said, window is a global one. So global is Windows. So you don't need anything, blah, blah, blah. If you see that, alert will alert you something. Everyone with me? So window is a super global object that has so many things, and we just take that window for granted. We just don't use window word, and we directly use those functions. Now, inside that window, there is a very important object which is called document. Window.document. Now, this is something of our concern, real concern. This window.document, or specifically, document. If I say document equals window.document. So you see true. So I write document or I write window.document. Everything will be same. Anyhow. So window has a component. I'll first write with window so that you get used to it. Window.document. This contains my complete HTML document inside that. Window.document. For JavaScript, this window.document contains my all document, HTML document inside that. What does that mean? It means that, okay, so you know that I can just skip window and I can just write window document. So if I write document.title, just hit enter. Is that cool? We are getting that document.title. So whatever is the title of the web page, I can access that document.title. I can access document.body. If I hit enter, you see my all body is appeared over there. I can access document.head. So I get only the head section of that. I'm not getting any responses from anyone. Are you with me? Understanding that we can access our HTML document by using this document word. Thank you, Claire. Okay, thank you. So I can find the reference of all the elements of the document by using this document important object. So let's see something very interesting. I can not only access that something which is over here, document.title, I can even change the title as well. So if I go over there and the last name is Juan, so if I say Juan, for example, can anyone tell me where do you see Juan now in my document? Juan, can you tell it yourself? Where do you find? Yes, the title has changed. Do you see the title has changed? Now it is Juan, for example. And why? Because of course, what I have done is that I have changed the title to something. I can say something interesting, document.body equal to hello. Okay, it's failed to convert that to yeah, just let's play it other way around. Again, I'll just let you know what does that. So you see that all body is replaced with a hello. There's a property body.inner text. So I'll talk about that. Equal to hello. So I have converted all the body into hello. Do you see that the title is changed and the body is changed? Is everyone understanding? Okay, so that's the way dynamically our document keeps on changing. I have changed the body of the document. I have changed the title of the document. And if I hit refresh, of course, everything will go back to its original location. Why? Because I have just refreshed that one. But do you understand that getting access to an element, not only getting access and also changing that, can be done by using this one. And you see that changing that is my title now of the document. And again, as I said, document.body. And again, you would have understand this. There is called inner text and inner HTML equal to new contents, right? So I'm just changing the contents of the body, and that might happen. My body is all changed. You know what I mean? Now, so it means that finding the reference of a document, finding and getting the reference is very important. Now, what do you mean by getting the reference? That's another important story. What is that? I can just create a variable for myself, which is a JavaScript. I got right. Those changes are yeah, exactly, Vinny. You are right. So those changes are all temporary. When I refresh that, everything goes away. That's right. Now, if you see here, if I say var title is equal to document.title. Now, this is very important. If I ask, what is this title now? My variable title. So my variable title is now, this is a document. So I can not only I can just access something. So if I say var my body equal to document.body. So store that my. So if I say my body dot, so I've told you there is a property inner text equal to new contents. How is it? Something like that, you know, any blah blah message. So it has just changed that body of the document. You know what I mean? So it's basically not only that you can access something, you can get reference to that as well. And if once you get reference to that one, you can play with that one. You can now play with that typical variable that you have created out of that one. So getting references of something. If I refresh my document, everything will be back. Of course, it's not permanent. It's not. It's nothing to do with any interesting. Okay. So now what I'll do is that this is called finding and referencing, finding and getting references to the elements. So I can find and reference any elements in the DOM in our document. Creating, adding, and removing elements from the DOM tree. That's an by the way, there is something very important that I've just forgotten. Now there are certain functions to do this job. The first and the foremost important function to access something is, for example, document dot. So document has certain functions related to that. That is called query selector. Now, if I give any selector in this one, for example, I say H1. So if I hit enter, it has the query selector function goes, and whatever selector you have given, it will go and catch the first instance of that one. So you know the first instance is this welcome. Do you remember that in my document the first instance is this H1 welcome? Got everyone? So query selector just catches the first instance of that selector. So if I say selector and I say, for example, paragraph, I want to access the paragraph, but again, no tag sign, just the selector name, the tag name. So it has access. Which paragraph it would be? You know, this is the first paragraph that we have. If I take my cursor, you can see that this is the first paragraph. So query selector is one function that can be able to access anyone, but remember that if you have multiple H1s, it will only find the first H1. So how to find all H1s? Document dot query selector all. If I say H1, now see what happens. Now it is coming up with a node list. I hope everyone understanding that. It says that now there are 3 H1. One H1 is without any ID. So here comes a very important point, Vinny. You were just wondering about ID and something. So since I have made these changes, so I'll discuss those changes over here. It says there is one H1 which does not have any ID related to that one. It says there is another H1 that has an ID related to that one. And what is that ID, Vinny? Can you tell me? What is the ID associated with the second H1? Nothing. Yeah, I've just given for nothing, for no reason. Then there is another H1 that has nothing, one ID associated with it. So it says you have 3 H1. So selector all, query selector all will select all the H1s from out of my page. Does that make sense to everyone? It will select all the pages from my page. And now I can even use this selector all for selecting any one of them by using this arrow, by using this array-like notation. So if I say node of 1 only, do you see which one is accessed? Only the first one, the nothing one. Because 0 location is H1, 1 location is nothing, and the nothing one. So if I say document dot and I say 0, what will come out? You know, the first H1. Is that clear to everyone? Now if I say that get the reference of that one. So if I say my heading equal to document dot query selector all, and I say take all H1, and out of that, for example, the second one, the third one, right? The third one, store that in my heading, right? So let's check what is in my heading now. So my heading is this, right? Now I have been discussing this because this was something that I've done before. So I've been discussing that one. So now if I say my heading dot inner text, so there is a property of called inner text. So you just remember this inner text right now. I am brand new content. So I have done what? See here, I've got the reference of this this second heading, not second, third heading, and I have said that this my heading dot inner text, change its inner text to I am brand new content. As soon as I hit enter, can anyone tell me what happens on my page? Are you getting everyone? What is happening on my page? So I get the reference of that element. I got the reference of nothing one ID H1, and then I change the content of that. Same I can do with the first heading. So var my heading 1 equal to document dot query selector all H1 square brackets, and I say, for example, 0th one, the 0th location I want to access. It has accessed that one, my heading 1. So if I say what is my heading 1, you see it's welcome. Now if I do something like that, my heading 1 dot inner text. So again, I'm just using inner text, and I'll tell you the difference later on. I am also brand new now. So what I have done, which content will be changed? Can anyone tell me? Will it be for no reason change or welcome will change? The first line, yes, you're right. So I'm also brand new now because the first line has been referenced over here. Now, so these are the two functions. I did not want to discuss this much in detail, but do you understand document? So there is another catch in that one. So document dot query selector all or query selector. When we use that one, remember that we give a selector over there in the brackets. So when you are giving selectors, remember, if you want to access an ID, I'll just refresh that because I want to just make it all old. So if you want to access an ID, so what is an ID? So I have given a nothing ID in this H1. So I want to access this ID. Whenever you are accessing an ID in query selector, please remember that you need to use the hash. So if I say hash nothing, so you see in the top, you can see that that one is selected. So I can access that like this. My heading equal to document.query selector. So I'm just doing query selector and I say hash nothing one. For example, if I say nothing one, if I access that, so what is inside my heading one? Sorry, my heading one. My heading one. Oh, my heading. So sorry, this I've just done my heading. So my heading has nothing one inside that one. Why? Because I selected nothing one over there. Now, if I say my heading dot inner text equal to hello, hello, hello. You see here that my contents have changed on the top. I'm waiting for, not for Vinny, for everyone to just come in and let me know that you are getting what we are trying to discuss over here. Cliff, thank you. Yeah, Young, thank you. Yes, Johan, thank you. That's good to know. Omni, that's wonderful. So now let's talk about that. So there is another function which is called get element by ID, which is very much used and typically people use that. So it looks for an ID. So we have this ID. Oh, another thing that I just forgot about: selector, document query selector. So when you are accessing an ID, you will use hash, and when you are accessing a class, you will use a dot. And did I have a class defined in my code? Yes, I have defined a class is equal to demo. So whenever you have to access a class in query selector, you need dot. And whenever you are accessing an ID from the query selector, you need to have an hash. Everyone understanding? I have told you all the shapes of query selector, and I think it's there in the notes as well. Yeah, so query selector method, we need to give hash for ID and dot for class, right? So that's accessing. Now, this is enough about query selector and query selector all. Remember, query selector all is used for accessing all the elements on the page. Now another thing, how to access a name. Yeah, so remember, if you want to access a name, you mean Jiayong, you mean tag name, you know. So document.query selector, you see here, if you want to access a typical tag name, you will just give that tag name over here as a selector. You know what I mean? So it will just access the first H1 because, you know, of course, this is set. So now same goes over here. If you say document.query selector all, and you say H1. So if you do that, you'll see that all the H1s are selected over here. Jayong, you got your answer? So query selector can accept a dot for the class, a hash for the ID, and you can directly give a tag name. I can even see, I can show you another example. If I say li, select all li's. So you know we have 3 li's over there. Do you see? It will find through 3 li's, all 3 li's. At 0th location, this is the li, which has some contents, which has that again inner text I was talking about, first item, and I can change that one as well. Anyhow, you understand that a bit now, right? So this is node list, which is coming over here. Now, there is another method which we generally use, but only when we have that ID. So document.get element by ID. Now, remember that in get element by ID, I don't need to give a hash. Why? Because I can give the name of the ID directly, because this function itself is saying that I'm looking for an ID, right? And what is the ID that we have? For example, nothing. So if I just say nothing over here, nothing, that would be fine because it's just accessing directly. So remember the difference when you are using the query selector, you need to give a hash with ID, and when you are using get element by ID, you don't need to use any hash. You can directly give ID. And by the way, this ID cannot be used, Jiayong, this ID, get element by ID, cannot be used to access the tag names, because there is another one which is called get element by tag name, which very seldom people use, and I would also not recommend that one to use. But anyhow, this one is also used for that one by tag name. It just comes out over there, right? So that's that we were talking about. Okay. So these are the 3 functions that we talk about, and then creating and adding. This is another very interesting one. And as I said, till now we are in our part 1, but let's Let's see a very interesting one. So there is another way how to create elements. So we can create element in a DOM at runtime by using this create element. So I can say create a paragraph tag, for example. So the tag is created, but of course I don't have any reference to this tag. You know what I mean? So I would like to create a paragraph. I'll call it para, and I'll create document dot create element, a paragraph element. Create a paragraph element. Now I have a reference of this one. I have a para. You understand, everyone? I can create an element. And you know by now that I can put some inner text in this para as well. Inner text is equal to I am a new paragraph, right? So if you say I am a new paragraph, so now if I say para, what is the para? Para has this complete. Got everyone? So this tag is created. We can create element, or this element is created. We can create element by using this create element, but we need to embed this. We need to insert it in our HTML. So now to insert in HTML, I can do a little trick. I say document dot body dot append child. There is a function append child, and I'll say para. You know what I mean? Now see on the top of my document. Did any find that this paragraph is now added to body? It has been appended to the body. Do you see after hello, 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 you see a new paragraph? Yeah, exactly, end of the body. That's wonderful. So if I show you another example, I want to create my heading, my head, for example, something like that. And I say document dot create element, and I say h1. I want to create an h1. So my head is created, h1 is created. Now my head dot inner text equal to I am a new heading, right? Inner text is also given. So my head is now this. You see, my head is now this. Now it has to be appended, it has to be added somewhere. So I'll say document dot body dot append child, and I'll say, for example, my head. Oh, sorry. What I've done this wrong. It should not be in inverted commas. Remember why? Because this is a reference variable that I have. Remember, right? So this is good that I've done this mistake. It should not be in inverted commas. So you see that now this my new heading is added. In the same way, I can create something like this. Var picture equal to document dot create element, and I say img. I want to create an img, a picture image. Now you know that img picture has some certain attributes. So I can set those attributes with this one. As I say src equal to, I have a tree.jpg over here, right? So I'll just mention that. Picture.src is equal to tree.jpg. You know, picture.width equal to 300. Picture.height equal to 300. Picture.alt, remember alternate text. Hello, I am a picture. Now, picture is created. Next step, Pavneet, what will be the next step now? Picture is created. Now, if I ask you what is the picture, if you see here, picture tag is all ready for me. What I need to do, Pavneet, now? Append it. That's wonderful. Document dot body dot append child. Now I'm waiting for a question from anyone. Vinny, I think you will ask that question. If I say picture, and that question will be that, can we embed it anywhere in the document? Is that the question coming into some people's mind? You see that picture has come over there. So is there a question coming in anyone's mind that, okay, can we append it at any middle part of our page? Is that a question in someone's mind? And if not, I am just telling you that this should be a question. Yes. So yes, we can do that one as well. And for that, I'll just tell you a very interesting thing. Jayong, I think you did not hear me. Yes, that was I was saying that, you know, that someone will have this question. Yeah. So Vinny, you can do a wonderful sort of things. Now see here, I'll tell you a very interesting thing. So let's go back to original page. Let's go back to original page. This is my original page. I'll tell you a very interesting thing. Let's create a picture again. Document dot create element, and I say img. I have created a picture, and let's just give a source and nothing else. src equal to tree.jpg. Remember, this picture has to be in the same folder. Remember, right? Okay, just picture is created. Now you want to append it to a particular part. Now look at your document. Does your document have a place where I can go? So I have a paragraph which has a class demo. Let's do a tricky thing. I'll do a tricky thing. See if you can catch that. Document dot query selector dot demo dot append child. How many of you understand? I've done that directly, but I'll tell you, you can do that. Alternate ways. But see what happens on my page. Do you understand that now this picture is coming in this paragraph, inside this paragraph? You understand? Document.query selector dot demo. Access my demo paragraph. Yeah, exactly. It will be appended in that demo. And by the way, there is an important thing over here. You can get access to some para or some heading as well. So for example, I say var area equal to document dot query selector, and I want to access an ID, nothing. You remember there is an ID of h1, nothing. Let's see if it will allow me inside that one. I don't know if it allows me, but let's check that one. I hope it will. So I've accessed this area. So what I can say area dot append child picture. Do you see here that now my h1 also has this picture appended into this? And this picture is a very big size. So now why not just change its size? Width equal to 300. Is it applying that? Yeah. So picture. So you see that what I'm doing? Picture dot height equal to 300. Right? So it has just changed my picture. Everyone is good with that? Because till now, again, as I said, I'm still in the part one, but hopefully I'll just now publish this video with all this explanation that you can look at this for that. Disappear as well if you refresh. Yeah, exactly. I'll show you. Mark, first of all, Mark, you. Yes, Mark, this will also disappear. Why? Because I'm just running this REPL sort of thing. When I do that, everything goes away. I am again navigated over here. So Mark, my page will be yes, Pavneet, when we'll do its example, that would be quite more fun. Yes, I can show you the HTML. I can show you the HTML. See here. This is the this is the HTML. Vinny, you can see the HTML. Yeah. So it has always been appended at the end of the element. So if you see, remember, for no reason after that it has appended that much. Appended means it just takes out that one. So if you want to just bring it before that, there are multiple ways of that as well. We'll talk about some of the ways. But I hope everyone has enjoyed that. I'll be taking a quick break now, and it would be again 5 to 7 minutes break, and I'll be back after 7 minutes, and then we'll have some more fun. Yes, Pavneet, you are right. It's real fun. And by the way, when I'll give you an example, you will really enjoy that when we'll be doing an example. Right? And I have not told you how to just do that with this one, but anyhow, you will know that, and I'll tell you later on after the break. Enjoy your break, have a cup of tea or water, and then let's come back. Okay. So we have talked about some different aspects of it. We have talked about creating elements. We can create text note as well, and we create and add them. So now I'd like to tell you that how we can just connect our HTML document with a JavaScript code. So please remember that in my folder I have this index.html, and I have one script.js, right? So I can connect it with that one. So how to connect that? towards the end, before the body, you come over here and you can write script and just select this src and now script.js. Now my file, this should be connected with, and there is something going on in the script, by the way. I'll just put that as comment for the second, just to show you. So this is my document before script is running. Now I told everyone yesterday, and I'll be telling you again, that first of all, we want to check that whether the script has been connected or not. So you can do a very interesting thing. You can just do a script, alert script working. If I give a script working alert, do you see what will happen? That my page will give this alert over here, which will tell me that, okay, that now my script is very much attached to my document. You know what I mean? So whenever just I do refresh of this page, you will always get a script working, alert, and then so it is showing that, okay, good, my page is now working. Now again, if I just do a mistake, rather than by doing script, I do scrpt, there is no script being loaded over there, and there is no alert being coming, even though I'm just alerting that user to pick typical thing. Now, so this is basically what this is what, that if you want to check that your script is working, just always alert that one, right? So this alert, I'm just keeping that one over there. Okay, so here, if you see, I have not done anything extra, over there. You already have seen. So what I've seen, I have not talked about. There are certain other aspects of DOM programming as well, and we have not talked about those aspects. Let me just tell you. What are those aspects? If I show you, so yeah, so we talked about finding and getting references, creating and adding elements, inspecting and modifying their content. We have just talked about. We are right now just talking about this one, this third part, and then we'll talk about the fourth one. Now we have just created a new picture, for example, new picture element. And I have the same way as I did before break, document.create element img src tree.jpg width is equal to picture one, and document.query selector.demo.append child. Do you remember that I've talked about that one? And you can do that. And even I can do that document.query selector hash nothing. You remember, if query selector has this hash, it means what? Can anyone tell me when we use the hash inside query selector? When we are accessing what? An ID. That's wonderful. So I'm saying that go to nothing.id, nothing ID, and just change its inner text to hello, 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 something like that. So what is happening over here? If you see my document, when I just hit save, so you see that all these steps are happening automatically. I'll tell you that we can associate with an event or something. But right now, if you see that it is just doing what? It is just creating a picture element and then embedding this with the demo. You see, it is coming inside that paragraph, the same thing that I was talking about. And now, if you see, some of you might be thinking that this is all permanent now. For the timing, of course, it is permanent. It is coming from a script file. But as I hit refresh to my document, you see that it's basically again coming over there. So why? Because just understand one thing. Because this code is automatically running and there is no association with that one. That's why it is just showing all those things. Otherwise, if I just show you that this also just goes away when I just refresh that one. So for example, if I show you, if I just again make a mistake in a script file, so you see that it automatically runs. So there is no script attached to that one. Why? Because the script spelling is wrong. So if I just attach that one, so it will be happening. Now, this is the point. Yeah, exactly. This is the point that now I am saying that now we are starting something new for today, right? So this is the point from where we are just, having this part 2 of our lecture. But of course, as I said, I'll be sharing this lecture with everyone, and I'll ask you that you can have a part 1 separately, or you can look at the part 1 over here, because I have one way or other. I've just, repeated all those things till now. So from now onward, we will be discussing something new for good half an hour or something like that. Anyhow, right. So right now I don't need this script, and I might be needing this script. I'll just I'll use that. But let's discuss about the fourth thing that I was talking about in my notes. The fourth thing is run the code in response to events triggered by the user by browser or other parts of the code. So this code, if you see, this code is automatically running. There is no, just at the time of the load, when document gets loaded, it just runs. But that's not the case. We always want to run some code on particular events. So that is called running the code in response to events. What are the events? Clicking on something is an event. Scrolling down on a page is an event. Loading also by itself, loading also is an event. So these are all are referred to as the events. And we usually do what? We typically do what? That we try to associate our most of the actions, most of the script changes with some of the events triggered by the user. So it's basically what? That we need to just create, or we need to just associate certain events to that one. And I'll talk about those events in a little detail. Let's talk about some of the events. For example, what I can do, so I'll just park this code. So what I can do, I can say that the body, the document body, as this is the document's body that we have. So I say body dot on click. If I say on click equal to, and I just call a function handle click. Right? Or what should I? Okay, yes, let's put it this way. So body dot on click. I want to say that whenever someone clicks on the body, then call this function handle click. Now I'll define this handle click function. Function handle click. I'm defining this function, and let's do something in this function. And what I want to do, for example, in this function, I want to say, for example, I want to do all these things inside this function. For example, let me just copy that or cut that, by the way, and paste it inside that one. That whenever someone clicks on the body, this should happen. So to call a function, what we do, we say that body dot on click. Whenever user clicks on the body, this handle click function should be called. And this handle click function is defined over here, which does what? Which creates a new picture and image, and then appends that one and changes the text to the hello, hello, hello. You know what I mean? Now, let's check this one if it works. This is the body of my document. Everyone understand that? This is the body of my document. If I click on this body, it's not working. Let me just see why it's not working. Okay, just refresh that. Do I need to do this? Sometimes it might not be. No. Okay, just give me a second. Okay. You mean capital? No, it's maybe it's not like that. Maybe. Okay, refresh it. Okay, it's just working automatically. Just hold on. Yeah. So see here. Now see here. Now it's basically Pavneet. It's with a small c. You are right. Generally, we know that it has to be in a camel casing, but this is not with these events that we have over here. So that's an interesting fact. So you are very right that it should happen something like that. Now see here. I'm saying document.body.onClick. Whenever someone clicks on this body, call this handle click function, and this is the function that I have defined. And since I have defined this, Pavneet, that's why I have just given it, the camel casing, handle click, something like that. You know what I mean? So that's basically what. Now, if I click on the body, you see that this all is happening when I click on the body. And I click on the body again, you see that it keeps on adding these kind of things, because all the time it calls the function, and whenever this function is called, it creates a new image over there. Everyone understanding what's going on? When I click on the body, you see two things happen. Number one, this picture appears. Number two, this text goes to hello, hello, hello. Do you see here? This is for no reason, because I'm changing this nothing text into something like that. Right? So this is This is one way of associating an event with body, for example. I'll talk about the more other things, but let's talk about first of all that document.body.onClick. If we just define a document.body.onClick, I can just do something like this. So what I'm saying is that whenever someone clicks on this one, then basically you call this function, and whenever this function is called, it just keeps on creating an image, and it keeps on appending that image or over there, and it keeps on doing that one. You know what I mean? So it's just adding those pictures, by the way, and it will just keep on adding those pictures over there. Now, if you refresh it, everything goes away. Now, everyone understand? Now, I want to tell you a very interesting thing. If I apply another function to this body.onClick. So you see, onClick is equal. So I say handle click 2. There is a handle click 2 function, which I have not defined already. Now, if I come over here and I define that one function, handle click 2, right? I'm defining this function over here. And what this function, okay, no problem. What this function does, I'm just doing few interesting things over. Document.query selector, and let's select this nothing again. Dot inner text equal to new function, click 2, something like that, right? So I have just given this one. Now you see here, I have 2 functions, and I have applied two events to this body, right? So if I come over there and I click on the body, do you see that I only get one function running? Can anyone tell me which function is running? It is handle click 2, which is running over there. Now, second one, the first one is never shown. You see, first one is never running. And why? Because when I do document.body.onClick, it overrides the previous function. So if it has the other function, so for example, if it has 2 functions, it will always override. The second one will always override the first one. You understand what I mean? Now, rather than calling these functions like this with the body, for example, I'm telling you another function which is very important. And what we say document.body.add event listener. And remember, we will be using this add event listener too much. Now, add event listener syntax is that first of all, I give the event, the click event, right? Here we don't have an on click, a click event, and I say handle click, the first function. So we need to add this event listener to our body. Now, document.body.add event listener, I can again say on click, associate handle click 2. Handle click 2. Now I have associated these 2 events with this handle click, right? With body. Now let's see when I click on the body, what happens. Can anyone tell me what is going on now? You see that second one. So now both function will execute. It will never override. In on click, if you have just defined this on click in this way, it will override function. So always use add event listener to add events to the particular things. Everyone getting that one? I hope everyone is understanding this. So right now, when I click on that, both functions are running. You see see everything gets changed. Now this nothing. So for example, I have just changed this nothing again. So I can change this nothing 1 to show you something interesting. Now you see that both of them will be running. You see that both of them is running. Both functions are running over here. Now this picture keeps on adding. If you understand what's this add event listener? Add event listener will never override the previous functions. Rather, it will allow us to run a new function over there. Now, this is not with the body only. We can just associate this one. Let me tell you some very interesting facts over here. I can associate it with something like this. Document dot query selector. Now see what I'm saying. What I'm doing. Dot demo. Does anyone remember what was dot demo? My first paragraph. Remember, it has a class dot demo. Dot add event listener, and I say again click, and I say handle click. Interesting. You know what I have done? I have not associated the event with the body. Rather, I have associated this event with this dot demo something. Where is this dot demo? This is the paragraph that you remember. This is the paragraph that we have. If I click on this paragraph, is this the paragraph? Oh, this is the second one. Sorry. So demo is the second one, right? So if I click on this paragraph, do you see that this function is called handle click? Is that making sense to everyone? So it's not only that we can associate event to a particular, like for example, body, we can associate events to some particular. So if I want to associate this handle click to some other thing, for example, I want to associate this with hash nothing one. You know, this one, nothing one, remember ID. So click handle click to, and I say that you call handle click to. So now you see here, if I click on this demo class, first function is called. If I click on this another no reason, you see its own text converts, changes. Demo class, another one, like, you know, see, nothing one. This second one gets changed. So new functions and whatever I have given over there. Is everyone getting this one? This is very interesting one, and this is, you know, we are right now, we have started to look into some real DOM, serious DOM programming, because now we are looking at their assets. Thank you very much, please, for so many yeses. So we have started to look into, you know, the real DOM programming, and now we know that okay, we can do these wonderful things that are here, and we can just, you know, play with so many things over there. Okay, so there are some new things that one about two things that I want to discuss over here. Okay, so there are, like, again, there are a few methods and functions that we can just, you know, talk about. I'll just show you over here for the study purpose. You can just always have a look at that one, and you can just, you know, work on that one. So if you see here that we are talking about creating and modifying, and then inspecting and modifying. So inspecting and modifying DOM elements in JavaScript, we have this element.id, element.inner HTML. Now, I would like to tell you the difference between inner HTML, inner text, by the way. So I hope you understand that. But when you say inner text, I can just only give inner, like, text over there, and it won't be rendered. So for example, if I come over here and I say strong, and I say strong over here, like it's already strong, I'm sorry. Let's change, not this one. Let's change this paragraph, for example, a paragraph text. So for example, when you click on that one, I am changing the dot demo and not event listener. I'm just, you know, changing its inner text, right? So see here, inner text equal to paragraph renewed. Something like that. So if I click on that one, you see my paragraph is renewed on the top. Very bad spelling, anyhow. But how to make it permanent, like someone visit your web page and leaves a message. That's wonderful. And Vinny, I'll talk about that all in detail. Just don't worry about that. Right now, what it is doing is just taking the script and running the script and making changes in the DOM. So this question, that how to make it permanent, that's a wonderful question. And I'll do a project with you. You will see that how to make it permanent. Everything will become permanent, and it won't go away if you need that. So anyhow, so if you see here that when I'm clicking on that one, my paragraph gets renewed as well. You see paragraphs there. Now, if I want to do something very interesting, if I come over here and if I say strong, I want it to be strong, like, you know, bold. Now see what will happen. If I click on this one, you see strong is appearing as a tag. Strong is appearing as a tag. Now, rather than changing inner text, if I apply inner HTML, I hope everyone will know the difference now. If I do inner HTML, should I tell you about difference, or you understand? Inner text and inner HTML. If you give inner text, it won't be rendered as HTML. If you want to give some HTML, you need to render that one. You know, you need to render that one by using inner HTML. If you don't give this inner HTML something, it won't be rendered. I hope you got it, got the concept of this one. that this would be inner HTML, and inner HTML means that if there is some HTML, it would be rendered. But if I give it by mistake, if I give some HTML to inner text, something like that, you will see that I'll click on that. Of course, I'm getting that one because this says inner text. Just change the text. It's not the HTML that would be rendered. It is just the text that is basically right now rendering, and I don't want this one to be rendered as like that one. So if you need to work on that one, you will say that, you know, I want to have that particular particular thing over there. So I hope that you are understanding this one. So we will just, you know, talk about that one. Okay, so is there anything else that I want to discuss today? Yeah, so I would request, like, I would suggest you just do all these readings by yourself. Not only click. There is so many functions. Load function is there when the window gets loaded. Double click is over there. DBL click. So you remember that we have talked about. So you can associate all those events with your program, and that would be quite an interesting thing when you will just, you know, try to understand that one. Now let's play with this a bit more, and I will talk about some more interesting effects. Or maybe we'll just, you know, leave it for the next coming week, because I will be. Should I introduce you with some of the things and then we can just play with that one? I have a very nice example that I want to do, but I'm just thinking that I should do it right now or later on. Okay, yes, let's do that right now. Yeah, so this, everyone understand that one, that we can just, you know, do that add event listener, and not only we can directly associate with that, you can always have a document that like you get the reference and then associate it that. So what I'm doing right now is that rather than just keep on playing with this document, I'll just save this one over here. You can always access this document whenever you want. What I'll do is that I'll create another file, another HTML file for today, and I'll call it, for example, fab24 with today's date, fab24.html, and I'll create another script file also, script, or maybe just call it that fab24.js, right? So it will be a JS file. So I'm just creating another file to show you a few more interesting things. So fab24.html, just create a complete HTML. I don't need to just, you know, change that one. I have this one, and I will call it fab24, by the way. fab24, right? So this is my document, and here I'll show you. For example, I'll write that practicing DOM a bit more, right? So we'll be just practicing some more DOM, and I'll run this file. Okay, it is running here. Right, so I'll close the rest of the documents. By the way, anyhow, now see here, practicing DOM. We'll just try to practice some of the DOM programming over here. Now, let's see what we can do with these events. There are some very, very interesting events, and when we are registering events, we come across some of the very interesting aspects, and we'll see that what are those aspects that we are just talking about. Okay, so now here I'll just create, for example, a paragraph. This text will be used for change, something like that. And then we can just create a button over here, and we can just say button, and I can say apply, something like that. So I'll just do that, apply change or apply something. Okay, so I can give this button as an ID. For example, I can say BTM, something like that, just to get access to that one particularly in my that one. Okay, so now this script, I want to attach this script with this one. So you remember I have told you, go to the bottom, do this script as, and I'll write fab24.js, right? And to check that one, remember Always check with alert. I am working or not. So if you refresh that one, you see I'm working, it means that my file is connected. No need for this alert anymore. We just want to work with that. Now see here, I'll be just, now trying to do this a more formalized way. So first of all, I'll try to access this button first of all. So for example, I'll say var mybtn equal to document dot. So what should I use? Which function should I use over here? I want to access this ID btn. So which function I should use? Document dot query selector, and with what? With a hash ID, and what is that? btn. I want to access that button. Now I have got this button under my belt, right? I'll say mybtn dot add event listener. Now I am associating an event with this button. So I'll say, for example, to start with, I'll say click, and let's call a function, my function, which I'll do something in that one. So whenever user clicks on this one, my function should be called, which is not defined by the right now. Now let's define this my function. Function, my function, right? And now what it will do, I want to change this text when user clicks on this button. Now this text does not have any ID or something associated with it. Why not? Let's associate an ID with this one. So let's call it para, something like that, right? So if I come here in my function, I want to access. So again, the right way or the generic way is that usually people do what? They will access para over here. My para equal to document dot query selector, and what ID I have given? Para, hash para. So my para. So now I have the reference of this paragraph into this one, right? So if I come over here, I'll say my para dot inner text equal to changed, right? Something like that. I just want to give some message. My para dot inner text is equal to changed, right? So I'm saying that my button, whenever my button is clicked, call this my function, and my function is doing what? Just changing the inner text of this one. So if I click on that one, you see that my text gets changed. Is that right? So it gets changed. Now, this function I can use to do lots of things. As I told you that I can create new things. So for example, let's do some practice work over here. So I don't want to change this text, rather I want to do something else. So for example, let's save that one, refresh that, and this text is all back. So for example, I want to create a new paragraph, a new para equal to document dot create element, right? And I want to create a paragraph element, right? Or let's create a div, right? Div. And you remember div is a block level element. You remember div block level element. So I'm creating a div. So I have created a div, right? And I want to just place that div somewhere at the end of the body, for example. I'll just place that at the end of the body. But anyhow, let's first of all create that one. So div dot inner HTML. Now I want to give some HTML into this div, for example. How to make a linker in my function? What do you mean by linker? Jayam, I'm not getting what do you mean by that linker? How to make a link in my function? Oh, you want to say that I'm okay. Just that's a good point. I can do that, because right now we are talking about the inline attributes. So I can do that. You want to know that, for example, my link equal to document dot create element. I think you want to say that how anchor tag would be created, like that. Jayam, the anchor tag, a new anchor tag I want to create over there. Yeah, now see here, that's wonderful. Now see, my link dot, interestingly, href equal to, I want to give an href. So I'm creating a link to Google, for example. So www.google.com, my href is equal to this. My link dot inner text is equal to, sorry, Google, right? Now, I want to embed this into this paragraph, for example. So what I'll do is that my para dot, remember, append child, and what I'll do is that I will connect, I will append this my link over there. Let's see after running this one, what happens to this one. So it will all happen with my click, right? When I click on this one, do you see that Google has appeared over there? And you know, by the way, if I want to bring a break over there, I can have multiple ways. If I write a BR over there, and you know, we do this BR as an empty element. If I do something like this, and I do that, of course, it won't work. What should I do? I'm just giving you practice of all these things. So I'll have to do what? Inner HTML. Right? Now see here. Oh, inner HTML. This is not right. You see here that now this inner HTML is appearing over here, and this is the link to Google. Jayang, was that your question? You remember? Was this your question? How to create a link? So you can create a link that is appearing over here. And you can have multiple links appearing over here. For example, I'll tell you another very interesting thing. Just repeat this all for my index page that I have created, you know. Let's do that. So create an ad, and that just don't this one. Rather, I want this href to be index.html. You see, index.html. And let's make it a line break again. And I say home page. And now let's embed that again in the my para. Append child. And let's say my link 1. So I'll call it my link 1. Why? Because that has been, my link has been already done that. Now you see here, when I click on apply, you see that home page is appearing and Google is appearing. So if I click on home page, you see my index.html opens up. Back, apply, Google, the Google opens up. And by the way, you remember that we can do something like this. My link 1 dot target. Target is equal to underscore blank. You remember underscore blank in each, maybe if you have studied that in the linking, if you see in practice questions, I've given that. Now if you see here, I have this one, and this index.html home page, you see home page will open in a new tab. Are you people experiencing a new world of the programming now that we are doing? So wonderful thing. We can create so many things over here, and this is all which has just been created. It was not there on my page. It was never there on my page. When I click on this button, is all there. After click how to access the link automatically. After click how to access the link automatically. I'm not sure I'm getting your question. After click how to access link automatically. So you see, whenever I'm clicking, of course, it keeps on adding those things, because right now it's just adding this previous thing. Click apply. Okay, I click apply. Then Jayam. After click apply, what do you want to say? I'm not getting anything from you. Okay, maybe it means when you click apply, it will automatically click the links. Access those links. Okay, I don't know if I'm making sense of your question, but anyhow, I think I'm not getting the question. Can you unmute yourself and tell me, because I'm not making sense of your question. Anyhow, so this will, whenever I'll just call this function, of course, it will just, keep on adding those links over here. And of course, it is just keep on. So you see that, something of some kind of, maybe I'll just, tell you that you can create a to-do type of list, and list will keep on adding those lists, and you can just delete them. You can just use them. And there are lots of things. Jayong, if you can unmute yourself and ask a question, maybe I'll be better able to reply. And again, you can do that thing also. You can create that image link as well. I'll just copy that from my script. So if I want to create this one picture, so I'll copy this one for myself. and I can create a picture over. Sorry, picture over here as well. I've created this picture, and I can append it to my anything. I can just access query selector anything here, and I can say, for example, hash nothing one, and now I'm append with that child, with that one. So I'll say picture one. Okay, no problem. So you see here, if I click on that one, okay, why is not working? I did something wrong, maybe. Okay, I can find the error over here. You see that in console, you will find the error. Cannot read what null reading append child HTML button element my function. Okay, it says cannot read properties of null reading append child. Oh yeah, so yeah. So nothing one is not there. So you remember, nothing one was in my previous document. There is no ID over there. So there is only one ID of the para. So I can just do, for example, hash para, and again that is in my para already. So I can just do that. So you see here, now it is adding that one. Okay, my link dot click. My link, I used to call the event click inside my function. Mr. Call it. Okay, I'm not sure. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe he means that if you can call the click automatically without clicking it manually, like when you want to click the home page, do it by clicking the apply instead. If you click the apply, you are calling the my function, and inside the my function, you are calling like my link that click, like that. An event itself.
Okay, so right. So if I understand you also, because your sound was also cutting too much, but if I understand it correctly, you want to say that my link dot click over there. I just want to, okay. You want to say that I want to do something like this. Okay, right, now I get it. On click. That's what you want to say, right? I think Clev, you nailed it. But anyhow, let me just call any function my function 2. For example, I call this my function 2. So now you see that this my link one dot on click is typically what? It's basically that you are connecting an on click event with this my link one, which is a newly created one. Let's do that. I have not tested it by myself, so I'll just test it. My function 2. And maybe let's see what happens. So it does nothing, it just alerts. Hello, right? Whatever. Okay, so which link I have done that? Is it what's that one? My link one. What is this my link one? It's homepage. Okay, so you see that the thing that you so Jiayong, that was that you were trying to ask, like, now it is on click event is inside that one as well. So if I click on that one, alert is coming, and then homepage will be appeared, or of course this homepage will come over there after that one. Jiayong, did you get the answer? I don't know. Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, so I'm just stopping here, and so next is for this is the part 2 of our lecture. So for next week we have student week, study week. Then after that week, I'll just start from this point onwards, and that will be a very, very interesting one. But then I'll just start talking about the CSS later on. But this is DOM till now, and I'll talk about a very, very nice example of this DOM, and you will enjoy that example. And then later on we can just talk about this. So I'm stopping here. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. And I hope you enjoyed today's lecture, and I hope that we will be having